Welcome back, y'all. Looking to talk about Iran's new supreme leader. Want to know what you guys' thoughts. What does it mean? Is this their rebuttal? Is this them, explaining no surrender? Stage is open. What does it mean? A lot of people have said a lot of things, that they were down, they're out, but they appear to be alive and well. Um, they've went against the wishes of the POTUS, in America. He didn't get to choose the next leader, and he doesn't approve, of this leader. So what does this mean? How is this going to impact the world stage? What can we expect from this, you all? What can we expect? What can we expect? All right. When you thought they were down, when you thought they were out, they are expressing, that they are alive and well. All right, we got our first guest, on the stage. Well, I thought we did. Okay. All right, y'all come on up. Put your sentiments on the table. We've been talking about this for a few days now, almost a week. And a lot of folks thought that Iran was down and out, but they have elected a new leader, and they said they had to do it virtually because anytime they would, express that they were going to go or meet at a particular place, then, it would come under fire. So, they appointed or elected the new supreme leader. Just looking to get you all thoughts as far as the conflict that's taking place between Iran and the U.S. And it's interesting because we keep making this be about Iran and the U.S. when originally it was, or should have always been, about, Iran and Israel, right? So now, just looking at a new leader, a new supreme leader being elected, and he's considered to be a hardliner. And he's the son. He's the son of the previous supreme leader, a symbol of a dynasty in the making, which they also said they were trying to stay away from that, but here it is. And the biggest question, really and truly, you all, the biggest question is, what does it mean? Right? What does this mean? Y'all come on up. Don't be afraid. We've been doing this for a minute. You know who it is. All right. Let's see. All right, we got quite a few people in the room. All right, y'all tap the screen. Share the live so we can get things going. Thank you all for coming, into the live. Let's see what you say here. What you say. Uh, yes, he did. He lost his dad, his mom, and his wife. A child, could be very much so. You may be so correct. about that. Come on up. Who was that? Sherry. Yep, Sherry, you may be very much correct, about that. Yeah, so share your questions about the new leader from Iran. Want to know, how is this going to impact things, going forward? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for tuning in. Sherry says she babysitting right now, got her grandson. Thank you for tuning in. These things, right now very much need to be talked about and, expressed within all of our social media platforms, because you're there with your grandchild, and this is definitely something that will affect his upbringing and what the world may look like, for him. So, we really need to stay on top of, looking at what this means. All right, look like we got somebody ready, to come up on the stage. Who we got here? Look like Brian. Okay, we're gonna see what Brian, has to say. Okay, maybe Brian changed his mind. Did I get him? Okay, I did. Okay, yeah, maybe he changed his mind. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, he would quietly. He has not expressed any grudges, but looking at how many family members, he lost, I don't think he's going to have any understanding, willingness to negotiate. Yeah, it's going to be all in the mud, for him at this point, as if there's really not more that he's willing to stand to lose. And seeing how this incident is bringing the Muslim world, or the Arab world, Muslim world, it's galvanizing them and bringing them, closer together. This could be the beginning, of the contingency, right? The unexpected thing, So y'all come on up and share your thoughts. Yep. So we got. Let's see. He lost his baby girl. How? Yep. How would you feel? You're absolutely right. If that were to happen to any of us, here in America, we would not have anything pleasant to say about anybody. But for some reason, in this instance, it seems as if there is no understanding. And that goes back to the last time we were on. We were talking about, why does Iran hate America so much? And some folks think they just woke up, one day and was like, we hate Americans. And, I found a little research, out there. I found a little research out there called Operation Ajax. Y'all need to look for Operation Ajax. Look for Operation Ajax and do a little history. Dig a little bit. Come to understand why, they do not like Americans. Operation Ajax, it pretty much it explains it. All right, look like we may have our first guest up. User 1962. What you got, user 1962? User 1962 might be a robot. Might be a bot. Not even real. All right, let's get user 1962 off of here. All right, user 1962 is gone. All right, well, we starting off, pretty good. The room is, kind of full, right now. So, Y'all come on in. Don't be shy. We've been very expressive, up to this point, being able to, have this discussion. All right. So Big Dog saying he want to get up on the stage. Big Dog, you first.
Yeah.
What you want to say, Big Dog? All right.
So
Big Dog.
do you
Going once. All right. Maybe people are having an issue, with their mic. Big Dog, you might need to go out and you might need to come back into the live. Make sure you follow me so you can find it. It might just disappear on you, man, but look like you're trying to say something, but you're not able to. And I'm not sure. Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Make sure it's not an audio issue all
Can
around
you hear
the
me
board.
now?
Can you hear me? Put a 1. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me.
Why do you stand with Iran?
There you go. There you go. Okay, let's see who we got right here. John Brown. John Brown, how you doing?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
Okay. Was that you that asked me a question?
I did not. I think Big was asking a question.
Why do you
okay.
stand with Iran?
You're not clear. What are you saying?
Why do you stand with Iran?
What makes you think anybody stands with Iran?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Well, I see Iran on top of the leaderboard there. Huh.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Why do you stand with America?
I love America.
Even if they're committing crimes against humanity, you still love it?
Of course he does.
I do. And you tell me, what crimes are they committing?
You tell me what crimes they haven't committed.
Tell me what crimes have been committed by the United States of America. Tell me.
Are you saying their hands are clean?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Well, what is your but if I use international law, will that count as illegal to you?
Probably not.
I will stand behind our president of the United States 100%, no matter what.
So international law doesn't mean anything.
Nope. I'm standing behind my president.
Yeah.
That's the lawlessness that we have all across the board.
But wouldn't you call that blind loyalty?
Yes.
When you say no matter what. So if he came on TV tomorrow and called us all the N-word, you'd be okay?
Yes, he would.
Yeah. No matter what, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you can't tell me that's not cult-like behavior.
It is. It's crazy.
I mean, you can't say
wait
that's
a
not
second.
big.
You coming out here as a white punk.
I'm not white.
You look white.
Well, that's your issue.
You're being white. What are you talking about, you piece of shit? You don't want to back the United States?
All right, I'm not gonna have
that train's never late.
Yeah, that he didn't have a point ever. So
yeah,
I do agree that we can have a healthy debate. We can have different opinions.
Yeah.
But if you all have been on my live before, you realize I don't tolerate stuff like that. But he could have had his opinion. He could have said what he wanted to say without resorting to, name calling, and he could have been a part of a healthy discussion.
And if you notice, MAGA's crashing out real quick now because they're exhausted. You're not wrong. They got to defend him on an hourly basis now, so they crash out real fast.
Yeah, Big Dog, you can't come back up. He's still,
come on.
He's asking to come back up. Big Dog, you can't come back up, man. He was in
another live. He admitted he's been drinking a bit.
Oh, okay. So you all just think about the prompt. What does this mean? And I'm saying, a couple of days ago we were talking about why Iran truly hates America so much, and we brought up history based on Operation Ajax. I don't know how many of you may be, familiar with that operation, or not. But another gentleman named Sunil, he spoke about it, pretty in depth, and just wondering, what does this mean? And you all may be able to explain why you think Iran hates America so much. But if you haven't heard about Operation Ajax, you should research it. That might help you understand why they have such a disdain for America going back to 1951, 1953, leading all the way up to 1979, or the war that they got into from 80 to 88. I mean, there's a lot that we're just going to act like didn't happen. But let's see, who will go first? John, go ahead. What does it mean?
Just basing out on history and other contemporary things. Now this is the last Ayatollah's son is now. So it's gone from being this just a theocracy. It's now a theocracy that's a monarchy.
Yeah.
And that's even more dangerous. If you want to look at oppressive monarchies, look at North Korea. They got worse and worse and worse, and he is so tight now. So it doesn't seem positive to me.
Yeah. Dynasty, they said they were trying to stay away from, the point of the dynasty, but,
But now they got a son. Yeah, it's his son.
I have a point.
And looking at, as one young lady put it in the audience, she said that he lost his father, his wife, his mom, and I think a daughter, to this.
Yeah.
Just over time, I guess. So yeah, he's not going to have too much patience. Let's see.
Can I say something real quick?
Hold on, before you do, we got somebody before you, Jody. I'm sorry, Joby.
Yeah.
So, Joby, what does this mean, and why would you say Iran, hates America so much? You had to breathe on that one, huh?
I mean, I don't think we're gonna really truly know that, but a lot of countries are on that boat right now because of our leadership. Even some Americans, a lot of Americans are trying to figure this out. He has absolutely no plan there because he done took out the leader, and for all we know, maybe something even worse got in there. So his goal here now is what he said today is that he wants, he's not going to stop this campaign until they unconditionally surrender. And these people have been at it for thousands of years. They're not going to unconditionally surrender to anybody, ever. And he does. And on top of that, he's got a man in charge who's an alcoholic and a Fox News host. Is in charge of all this. I mean, come on. They're playing video games. They don't know what they're doing. He has no plan. He even said it when he came on TV the other day and said, "Look, we had people lined up, but I think we unalived them during the first bombing, and then the people after, and then the ones after them, we unalived them too." He has absolutely no plan. He's talking about 4 weeks. This is going to be a long. I think he wants this to go on so he don't got to worry about midterms and voting.
Yeah, well, this is definitely gonna, go on. Let's see. We got the Zambino. Zambino, what does this mean?
Yes, sir, Zambiano.
Zambino, what does this mean?
I think a bunch of idiots are making decisions for the entire country right now. If you go back to the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, I think everyone who's read history about Iran understands where the animosity between the United States and Iran comes from. We cannot unseat the Iranian regime as it is right now and think we can establish a democratic administration. it's stupidity at the most, I think. But it makes me wonder how many people are in this government that don't understand history. If they understood history, they wouldn't go to this extent for real. I think someone already alluded to the Shah being thrown out, the U.S. Establishing a coup,
Yeah.
Hey, Jack.
establishing a coup, and throwing out a leadership in Iran, and putting someone they thought was going to be a successor and a democratic leader. And this is what they're doing right now. But this system is already established. They've got a system that establishes who becomes the next leader. And we cannot figure out who that person is. And we don't know who the person we want to go into that leadership position is. Why would we go into that WAR if we can't figure out this basic, just basic premises of any leadership takeover?
Well,
If we
Netanyahu said he's not accepting any new leader.
40 years, for 40 years, he's been trying to do this.
Yeah.
Why this year of all the years of all the presidents?
You know why? So,
Iran, what does this mean, Iran?
yes. So, as an American, I believe that America should, like, once again, step out of this war. Like I said, the new leader that they have right now, that's the son of what's his name? Forgot his name. Khamenei or something like that. What I believe is that it's not Trump had a choice. He didn't have a choice, because as you know, we call Israel as our greatest ally, that's always bullshit. It's BS. They're not our greatest ally. I'm gonna tell you that now. They're not our greatest ally, because Netanyahu told Trump that if you don't help him, I really have to say the bomb or no?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you can actually say that, because they'll flag us real quick for what they think is misinformation.
Okay, I'll say the B word. I'll just say B for that words. Okay, so Netanyahu told Trump that if you don't be Iran, help him be Iran, then there's two things: either about the release of the Epstein files, which is probably released already, but will release even more, or
but wait, Iran, this is what I'm saying. Like, what you're saying is like so speculative. It's like you don't have anything to like really substantiate.
No, I do.
What you're saying right there. I mean,
I have evidence. I have a lot of evidence.
I think he's saying that there's a couple of countries out there who have
Russia heard it.
Trump is compromised.
Russia heard it. Who else?
Trump is compromised.
A lot of countries heard this. But here, let me finish my point.
I can give credence to that.
Hold on, guys. He want to finish his thought. Let him finish his thought. Go ahead.
So he told them, and then there's another thing that he also said, that if you don't help him, kaboom, Iran, then he will also use a nuclear weapon that he has. Not a nuclear kaboom, no, a nuclear weapon that he has. So get this fact straight, okay? So if you're gonna go attack Iran, right, because they have a nuclear weapon, Israel just said that they have a nuclear weapon. Why don't they get attacked too?
Well,
you see what I'm going at? You see what I'm trying to say? Like, I mean,
come on, man. Kim Jong Un's been flying things, into the water for the last 20 years. We ain't doing shit about
understandable. But America. I mean, as an American in America, we should not get threatened by someone we call them as a greatest ally. That's bullshit. How are they a greatest ally if they're threatening us? They're threatening America, and everybody's just quiet about it. Nobody's gonna talk about it.
Well, Trump's concerned about one thing only: Trump.
This is the problem. We need Trump out of the office.
Oh,
He
yeah.
needs to go. He's got to go because he's gonna drag us to World War III. Did you hear the news today that if that Russia might involve themselves into this war, but not
Well,
like
they already have.
yeah, but not like actually like kaboom them and all that. No, they will support Iran all the way. And
Yeah,
if-
they've been sharing intelligence with Iran.
yeah, and if Russia involves themselves, also China involves because Russia and China made a sign that if Russia goes to any war, that China will get involved with them. So that's gonna be like a massive World War III in the Middle East.
Okay. Well, look here, Iran. Good to have your thoughts. Hang on in there. We got some other people on stage. Romeo. Let's see. We're gonna get Romeo, and then we're gonna go to Prime, and then American. Romeo, Prime, American. Y'all help me remember. And then Two's gone, and then
Obscura.
Yeah. I ain't know how to say that. Then we're gonna go there. So Romeo.
All right. Yes. Thank you, my brother. C2K. Thank you for having me up,
Well,
up and running. Okay. What does this mean? Well, it shows that the Iranian ruling party, trying to show the world that they are not allowing themselves to be broken. And secondly, they're trying to show the world that Iran has a good reserve of ayatollahs in which they can always replace whoever is being taken out. And thirdly, Iran is trying to show the world that it's a power to be reckoned with when we talk about the Middle East. Superpower, so to speak. So all in all, Iran is saying to the world that bring it on. We shall see where this thing goes. Well, now I'm landing my plane. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
okay. So I think Prime.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I heard somebody asking why we went now into this war. Well, that's just a distraction from all the Epstein scandals and the coming election in 8 months. We're spending $900 million a day in this war, pretty much. It's not going to be sustainable. So you just do the math, 30 days, it's going to cost hell a lot of money. And Congress is just going to struggle to come up with that. The Iranian, so a lot of people ignore the cultures. That's the ignorance that we have here. They ignore the culture of the Shiite. The Shiite on themselves, they don't believe in the jihad. They do the jihad only for self-defense. Otherwise, the whole Israel thing, they would have actually went into war with Israel for a long time ago. They don't do that. They will help other groups to mess with the politics, but they will never go and fight military unless they are provoked. Second of all, they knew exactly what Trump is all about. It's all about money. So now they are striking all the interest, all the energy stuff. And the prime minister, not the prime minister, the external minister of Saudi Arabia mentioned something about, he's like, it took us 36 years to realize that the US based are not here to protect us, but actually they were here for us to protect them because they've seen Iran striking them and the US just letting it happen. All these bases are pretty much watching all these Gulf countries being hit and nothing is being done about it. So it's a whole cluster F in the whole region. And Iran sent like 2,000 cheap drones and 500 missiles. And that's just, to pretty much deplete all the ammunition, everything from the US and from Israel. And there is much to come. I don't think they're planning. These people have PhDs more than McDonald's in the world. They're not dumb people. This is not another war with Afghanistan or Iraq. The Iranians are very smart. You cannot underestimate them. And it's not about the Khomeinis or whatever, the Ayatollah. All Iran, if you understand the culture and the religion, their loyalty is to their leaders and to their belief, and they don't fear death. They welcome it. It's that mental thing. Actually, if you look at the borders of the Turkey, when Syrians they had the war, you've seen the Syrians fled, and you have all the refugees. If you go now and see the borders on the Turkey, people are going back into Iran. Iranians are going back to Iran to fight. They're not fleeing Iran and saying, "Oh, now we're gonna, be unalive." They're actually going to fight. So it's completely different mentality, and the ignorance in our government is completely. I cannot. And they think that Israel is our ally. No, Israel is just working their own interest.
Okay. All right, Prime. We got other people on the stage. We got your points. Hang in here. We're going to come back to you. You might want to have something you want to rebuttal. Hey, guys, let me take this time to explain. Since the panel is full, I want you all to know this is how we do things on this platform. Don't just pop off your mic because somebody says something and you think you want to jump in, you want to rebuttal. We want to give everybody a chance and or time to get their opinion out, what it is that they have to say. Once everyone has a chance to say what they, need to say, and then if you want to do your rebuttal, you'll do your rebuttal. But we're going to have decency and decorum, on this panel. Okay? Let's just remember that, and just remember to be, polite to one another. But your opinions will be heard, your opinions will be respected, and your rebuttals, are welcome. So who did I have next? That was
Me.
America.
Yeah. I just
don't see any reason why we should.
I want you guys to. I just want to follow up on what the gentleman said about the courageousness and the lack of fear that and the dedication that people of Iran have to their country. So give me just a second here.
American, just know we got other folks on the stage.
I'm just going to play this really quick, and then I'll land my plane. I'm not even going to say anything really. Hold on one second. I'll just play it. You don't even have to see it.
We got other people, so
this will take 10 seconds.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Negotiate with the U.S. We are not asking for a ceasefire, and we don't see any reason why we should negotiate with the U.S. When we negotiated with them twice, and every time they attacked us at the middle of negotiations. So there is no request for a ceasefire by us, and there is no request for the negotiation with the U.S. From us. No, we are waiting for them.
Thank you.
Thank you for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
There you go. I mean, here's the thing, real quick. The United States has never won a war from the air. It's never happened. It's never happened. Right. Other than World War II, when we dropped those munitions on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, other than that, you have to put boots on the ground. If we feel like we need to, quote unquote, win this war, there's got to be hell to pay. Iraq is twice the size of Texas. They have 100 million people, and they are a theocracy. This is not a game. I don't know what Trump was thinking, but this is not a game. I'll leave it there.
I think he was thinking petrodollar and oil and, trying to appease his investors outside of like what this would mean to the loss of life. So who do we have next? Who did we have next? We had...
I agree with you there. I agree with you.
Who did we have next? Let's see. It was... Okay. After you, I think it was... Okay. Poos Killer.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Assalamu alaikum to each and everyone.
What does this mean, Poos Killer?
What up? What's that?
Talk to us, man.
You know, well, I'm from Jamaica, right? As I can hear the accent. But anyway, we are from Jamaica and we are listening and we are tuning and we are watching. And the way how America using their aggression towards the world, using their imperialism, force it up on people. In Jamaica, it is wrong. It was Marcus Mosiah Garvey, talk about this to come, and it's all manifested now. And it is so, it is like a dream. We are watching now. We are seeing, and I mean, because look, America invade Venezuela saying that he's a drugs dealer. Venezuela don't produce cocaine. They invade Iraq saying that Saddam Hussein is a mass he have weapon of destruction, and when they take us back, it no fine. Now that they're saying that Iran is building nuclear, and 6 months ago, Trump word was he obliterated the Iranian site, and now that he come back again and bam, 6 months after. When I blame a lot of my black peoples. I blame them a lot because I believe that no black man should ever should join American army, a British army, a Canadian army, or a France or any European army, or support any one of them, because they are the one that slave us. And the first interview from a black man to Hitler said to that black interviewer, said, how can you be faithful to a slave master that slaved you? I didn't do you any wrong. Why you have so much hate against us? That was the questions Adolf Hitler asked that interviewer who was interviewing him. You know what I mean?
I didn't mean to have to put him down, but we can't use that name on this platform. They will restrict the live, just for the utterance, of that name. So unfortunately, I had to take him down to protect the live. So Two's Gone would be next, and then Abundance, and then, I'm sorry, Two's Gone, James Burgess, and then Abundance. Two's Gone going once. Two's Gone going twice. He may be having some issues with his mic. Two's Gone 3 times. Okay, there you go.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm a little old lady sitting here in the United States, and I'm scared to death. Do I understand everything? I'm not going to pretend I do. What I would like to ask everybody from every part of the world is, no, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm hearing from other news stations, what we're not hearing in the United States. But my concern is the hatred for everyone, not just Trump, not just Iran or the other just hate all over the world. And where is everybody's main concern for the women and children that going to be in this disaster? That's all I'd like to know, because I just don't. I know with war comes casualties, but there's certain people that should never be killed. And that's, I guess, what I'm asking is, what should we all do? The people that truly just want the right thing to happen do to help it to be better. Because we've seen protesting does not work. We've seen people shot in the street for protesting what they believe in. We've seen people in the United States be killed and police officers kill them, or ISIS kill them, or this, that, the other, whether it be right or wrong.
Two's gone. I apologize. We got to use some TikTok etiquette. You know, we have to say unalived and, you know, things of that nature when, you know, speaking about people, you know, losing their life. Okay. Put your mic back on. You can finish your thought. Unmute yourself and finish your thought. Two's gone. If you're talking,
Okay.
you're on.
Basically, I'm done. I'm done. That's basically my question. And I'm sorry for my etiquette. I'm new to TikTok.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right, James Burgess. Is it James? Yeah, James Burgess. Then we're going to go to, from James Burgess, we're going to go to Abundance. And then YouTube Bug. And then, guys, the stage is going to be open after that. I think we would have touched on everybody. All right, James Burgess, go ahead.
Okay, I'm a history buff. I'm gonna let you know. I've been studying history, and the situation over there, you know, going back to the 70s, is that, you know, we once was their ally, and they kept that part of the world stabilized over there with Iraq and the other, you know, Middle Eastern countries back then. All back when Nixon was president, and then Carter, and on up. So I've always been aware and kept my eye open on things like that. And I've been in politics a lot, and I've been in talking to politicians about why we go to wars and do things like that. I was a State Department officer, uniform officer, so I learned some things about diplomacy and diplomatic, you know, service to this country and other countries. And, you know, we've gotten ourselves into something, you know, because of someone who really doesn't know national security, doesn't know about military, he doesn't know about politics, diplomacy. And so he doesn't understand, you know, what he's really gotten us into. He was just trying to show Israel that he can be a bully to other countries, but it backfired on him because, you know, these people aren't afraid of him, and they're not afraid of our ground forces, which are not the same ground forces we had during the Vietnam War. I know this because I know military leaders, and they've told me we don't have that. They need to be retrained in order to be that way. But right now, our ground forces aren't the same, you know, as when my brother was force recon in Vietnam. Those guys were pretty much unstoppable and would go through a country and just take over. But this is not what we have nowadays, you know. And like the guy said, without ground forces, our air support really isn't, you know, I've been learning from military guys, isn't effective. You have to have people actually go in after you bomb and take over a certain, you know, jurisdiction or a certain city or town or a place where, you know, these people are holding up at. So, you know, we need to look at that. I mean, what it means for us is that, you know, our president has got us into something that he shouldn't have gotten into. Congress knows that he shouldn't have gotten into it. I haven't heard too many congressmen other than Trump supporters, a few of them, some of them are turning against him on this because they know that it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't, you know, those people on the national security committees in Congress are all going crazy right now, saying that, why was this done without us being notified? And so these are the kind of things that, affect all Americans because, everybody has a relative or a friend or a coworker whose, son or daughter may be in the military at some age. I mean, you might be an officer, you might be, just enlisted, but you might be in the academy, one of the academy at one of the schools, the Air Force Academy, Army, Naval Academy. So all these, everybody knows someone who may go there and not come back.
Okay. All right, James, hang in there. We got other people on the stage. We appreciate you for, your comments. We're gonna come back to you. Let's go to abundance. You guys do remember, that other people are trying to come, behind you. So try to get to your point, and then we can open up the stage. So if there's any rebuttal or another point within the subject that needs to come out, we can keep this thing flowing. All right, abundance.
Thank you for having me, host. I'm going to try to be really quick about this. First, I want to I want to discuss really briefly the fact that our president and many in his administration, many who have donated to him, is highly compromised. He's compromised because the whole Maxwell and Jeffrey thing was an Israeli, intelligence operation. Their ties to Israeli intelligence are long-standing and deep with the highest levels of Israeli intelligence. And there's no question in my mind that they have videos and incontrovertible proof of the disgusting things that Trump is capable of doing to children, as well as many of the wealthiest people in this country and in the world. So when you have somebody who's that compromised, nothing that they do goes without scrutiny. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we're in there. Now, you can talk about oil and our need for oil and the petrodollar and this and that, but those days have come to an end because China and Russia, along with Iran and Brazil and India and a few other countries, have decided that they're going to trade in whatever currency they want to, and they don't have to do anything when it comes to trading in the petrodollars. There's no requirement that they do it. And once that happens, we're going to be seeing an even greater diminution in the value of the dollar. The second thing I want to say is this has been going on for decades. He has been wanting, Netanyahu has been saying, oh, they're going to have, nuclear for literally the past 40, 50 years. If they had it, they would have had it by now. They would have done something with it by now. As far as the whole death to America or unaliving to America chance, if they had wanted, how many mass pew-pewings have we seen in this country in the past 2 decades, right? If they really wanted to do something, they would have done it by now. It's not that hard. It is really not that hard, as we've seen. So the whole reason behind this war is inextricably tied to those files, what's in them, what's not in them, and what the Israelis have, and it's going to cost American lives unless we get our shit together and go up there and make a citizen's arrest, because this man is wreaking havoc all over the world and is going to mean the lives of not only innocent Iranians, but fairly innocent service members who did not sign up for a war of opportunity and imperialism. That's all I had to say.
All right, so we're gonna go to the awakening, and then we're gonna go to Jesus, and then the floor is gonna be open, you all. All right, the awakening.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
All right. So
What does this mean?
I'm sorry to hear you.
Yeah, I said, what does this mean? Go ahead, awakening. If you're talking, you're on mute.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Can you
Go ahead. Make
can
your
you hear me
point.
now?
Yeah, go ahead. Make your point.
I'm sorry. So I'm a combat veteran. I was in the First Armored.
You keep going out. Maybe he getting phone calls or something. I'm not sure.
I'm a veteran from the First Armored Division. So I just wanted to tell you that when I was in Iraq, that I see a lot of similarities between what happened then and what's happening now. I mean, the fall of Saddam, because when we got stationed over in Baghdad, we stayed there, and then Ramadia and a couple other places. I remember this was years ago. It's about over 20 something years ago, and the same situation right now is happening, and we got a different leadership that happened there, and it's happening now here. And I just think that this is going to be a very, very, for years to come, I'm talking about 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, it's going to be a completely different world we're living in. This means a lot. These new leaderships, they're not the same as the previous. There's going to be some really different stuff going on, and I'm just kind of really, it's really not. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, man. I'm you look at what happened in Iraq, and I really don't know what's going to happen, man. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean,
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
I'll tell you guys, for a little history, look at Operation Ajax.
Yes.
It'll give you some history.
Mhm.
And you can bring that all the way down into the 1980 to 1988 war between Iran and Iraq. And this is where a lot of the disgust that Iran has for American politicians or the American way. So they're not just mad for no reason, you all. We have to look at the things that have internally been done to them and come to realize if anyone were doing that to us over here, then I mean we have a different.
Wasn't it Operation Ajax to protect British oil?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. That was the main point, and it's the same thing today. Although most people aren't really talking about it from that standpoint, but they want that back. They want that privilege back. So Jesus, you down there, you've been quiet. Welcome back, Jesus.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate your live.
Is it Jesus or Jesus? Which
Yeah,
one is it?
Jesus is fine. I wear a size 13 shoe, but I will never fit those shoes, right? But
I just want to make sure I got it right. I thought
Roger.
about it.
Roger. Yes, sir. It's Jesus. It's fine. Just really quickly here, my only point, just kind of start the discussion here, was that the prompt is Iranian new leadership. What does it mean, right? According to Iranians and the Shia theocracy that applies there in country, right? They truly believe that Ali Khamenei, right, who the person that was just voted to be in that position of power in Iran, is a direct descendant from the Prophet Muhammad, right? And according to the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad has a direct lineage back to Abraham himself, right? Through the two different sons that Abraham had, right? Now, the reason why they placed him into power is because there has to be a continuity of theological power in that country, right? And we're talking, name recognition, and which instills hope in the Iranian people, so that whatever government that's there now can stay in power. That's the reason why they chose him. Of course, he's the grandson of Ali Khamenei, who was unalived 9-10 days ago or whatever. But that's the reason why they put him in power, right? The second, I guess, entity of power in Iran is also the IRGC, right? And the IRGC leadership has been selected by the Khomeini leadership. So they enforce, like every leader has to have a military, right? Every conqueror has to have a military. So the IRGC is highly dependent upon the ideology of Shia Islam and the connection between the Khomeini family and the bloodline back to the Prophet Muhammad and Abraham himself. So that kind of sets the groundwork as far as the discussion as to why they chose him and what does it mean. Iran is right now is kind of fighting for its life as far as the theocratic system that they've have had there for a long time, since what was it, 79 or whatever, whenever the Shah of Iran was overthrown, and they're just surviving right now. So that's kind of what's going on. We can discuss everything else, but that's the history of what's going on right now as far as why the grandson's in power right now. But anyway, I'll mute.
Okay, very good. So now everyone has had a chance to speak. No one new has come up. So the floor is going to be open. If anyone heard something they felt like they wanted to speak to, or if you have something you want to add to the discussion, I'll kind of open it up. And you guys, who wants to go first?
Can I talk to something that Yusuf just talked about?
Sure.
Yeah, and so you touched something that's fundamental to the Iranian regime. They've had this structure within the Iranian government for over 40 years, and what strikes me the most is that this government cannot figure out what that succession plan looks like. Any government that has a technical know-how how this Iranian regime operates would have figured this out first before they can even think about doing regime change. And these guys didn't. These guys don't even know how. And they are telling us, oh, we took out the Ayatollah, and the next Ayatollah, we don't even know if he exists. No, I think we took him out as well. How stupid does that sound? It tells us the level of intellectual understanding of how this system works. And they're going to replace the Ayatollah, of course. And there's nothing that the United States is going to do about it. Then the people that are most vocal, whether they are descendants of the Shah, are in the United States, and they're asking citizens of the country to demonstrate, to go out on the street. While they're here, they have no ground, they have no basis back at home. They have no power back at home to take leadership. So what is it that the United States is trying to achieve right now?
Anybody else wanted to jump in? Anybody else got something they want to add? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Prime.
Yeah, so I don't think they understand again how the Shiite actually thinks. They think it's like Iraq, Saddam Hussein, and they are just having this wishful thinking that actually the people will rise up and they change the regime. That's not going to happen. Again, people are coming back into Iran. You've never seen when actually your country is actually being in a war where actually there are people that actually are living outside are coming back to fight for their own country. The belief is way above, I think, the understanding of this administration. And all the calculation, all that petrodollar, wherever the Epstein files that Trump was thinking is a complete miscalculation. To respond also to the lady, she was saying what's going to happen to the women and everything like that. You have now Netanyahu using Trump as a puppet. You know, the Zaire regimes, they believe they are the supreme thing. They don't care who they use to achieve their ultimate big state. That's the bottom line. They don't care how many kids are being lost, how many children are being lost, as long as they achieve their goals. It doesn't matter if they use our taxpayer money or unalive as many, committing as many unaliving as they can to get to their goals. That's pretty much what it is.
Okay,
So,
Jesus wants to rebuttal. Go ahead, Jesus.
Yes, sir. It was I can't see his name because it's only partial. The whatever was the first gentleman that spoke, right? As far as what the United States is trying to do, throughout history, ideologically captured countries were an actual true threat to the world balance, right? We see that in World War II when the Buddhist Japan had a ideology of death before dishonor, right? In Iran, it's kind of the same thing, right? And we all know what happened to Japan, right? Ideology is software that actually weaponizes the hardware that is flesh and bone, right? That is one of the truest threats, and we had a global war on terror for over 20 years because of that, right? This Islamic software has hacked human flesh and bone, okay, and has become an actual threat to the actual global nature that we live in, right? Now, as far as if I may address the BRICS problem, as far as the oil production in Iran, they do have a tremendous amount of natural gas and oil. So, the argument of that they need nuclear material to actually supply power and light and whatever to the local Iranian people is mute because they have almost unlimited amounts of natural gas, right, and oil. About oil in Iran, they only provide about 4% of whatever oil they have to the global market, right? In this whole entire conflict, the reason why you see that your gas prices are going so high is because it was Kuwaiti oil, United Arab Emirates, and Iran collectively provide 11% of the global oil trade, right? What's problematic, but the reason why gas prices are going high is because none of those oil tankers from Kuwait, UAE, and Iran are going through the Strait of Hormuz. And that is because of these drones that are being launched out of Iran that could destroy oil tankers, and then you have these insurance companies that won't allow their tankers to go through there and transport oil because they don't want to pay out, whatever the cost is of the oil tanker and the lives lost and oil lost and all these other different things. That's the reason why gas prices are going up right now, right? So this BRICS thing is kind of mute. Also, because the BRICS thing is mute because, excuse me, let me go back to my notes here. As far as BRICS countries are concerned, there are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates, and Indonesia. The reason why BRICS was established was because they kind of wanted to have some leverage over the U.S. petrodollar, right? So that's the reason why they all collectively went in. But as far as this conflict's concerned, right, Saudi Arabia is hitting back at Iran, right? The United Arab Emirates is hitting back at Iran, right? The two biggest, players in the oil and gas industry, right? And we can talk about the social dynamics between Shia and Sunni Islam, or we can talk about the social dynamics of, the UAE. They're all about money. Yeah, Islam is a part of their thread and their culture, but again, this BRICS narrative, I truly believe it's propaganda to kind of undermine the U.S. dollar, which implies that whoever's publicizing that wants to undermine the U.S. power globally, and I totally understand that too. But the U.S. will always print money. We'll always try to protect our allies, and that always buys influence around the globe, no matter what. So I'll mute.
Okay. All right, so I do apologize, Prime Z, but I had to remove you. I don't know what you did, but they sent the violation saying that you had to be removed. from the panel. So you guys be mindful of whatever you're commenting and your speech, because this is a sensitive subject, and we do understand who's behind this platform, and they're very different with respect to how they handle some conversations over others. Okay, so Jesus just made his comments. Anybody else wanted to add or wanted to rebuttal to what Jesus said? And thank you all for the likes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the repost. Y'all don't forget the Daily Heart Me is up there, and I appreciate you all that's up on the panel. Just tap.
I,
I
I can say a couple of things about what Jesus just said. Yes, I think that I traveled. So last year, in October, I went to 4 countries. I went to France, I went to Kenya, and I went to Zambia in Africa. And when we talk about the American dollar not being accepted in African countries, this is real. And this is not even a joke. I couldn't change American dollars in Zambia, for instance. But they could take the Chinese yuan. This is the influence that China has in Africa right now. They are spreading their currency across. Not only that, I can go to a rural area in Africa and find a Chinese I can find a monastery in rural Africa where kids are going to these Shaolin temples, learning Kung Fu and learning Chinese. And this is not a joke. You can Google it, you'll find a lot of African countries. This is the penetration that China has made in Africa. While they've done that, United States have been absent. They ran away from Africa. This is the largest growing economy in the world. They have the youngest population in the world. So what did we do? What are we doing? What are we accomplishing by running out of Africa? Now we are trying to ask African countries, hey, we'll give you $1 billion. Give us all your health records, all your citizens. Who's going to accept that? And on the other hand, China is saying, oh, we will construct a railroad from the Congo to Zambia, or from Tanzania to Zambia, or from Egypt to whatever country it is. That's what China does. China is 70 steps ahead of the United States in Africa, and Africa has the largest growing economies that they can think of, and that's where they're going, which we immensely messed up. When you go back to the Shahs, and I agree with you, sis, yeah, from the 70s, we can go back to the 70s and we can think about the overthrow of the Shah and trying to replace him with someone who was more accommodating to the United States. And this is what we're trying to do today. And it did not work then. It's not going to work now. They've miscalculated that this system has established itself, and they have a succession plan. So whether they go in and say, hey, we are going to replace you with someone, who's that person? They haven't figured that out. And the idiocy of it is the people that advise the president can't even come to terms with this. They can't think about this far ahead to an extent that they uh, they understand what it means for the natives in Iran actually to have a replaced leader to be a stooge of the US government. The people carry a lot of power in Iran.
Okay.
It's idiocy to think that they can replace this current regime right now as it is with whoever they think they can replace with, even though they don't even know who that person is.
So let's say I got somebody new that just came up on the stage called Nevermind. Nevermind, you got something you want to add to the conversation? You're on mute if you're talking. All right, going once, going twice. All right, so Nevermind is having some issues with his microphone. So let's see. Romeo, you've been up there for a minute. You've been quiet. Maybe you got something you want to add to the conversation, Romeo.
Well, I believe that the war regarding Iran won't escalate to a certain degree. No, I think it's quieting down as we speak. So probably, we have to be rest assured that the war will be coming to an end. And on the contrary, most Iranians are actually ecstatic about, they have been they've been ecstatic about what they have been protesting for a regime change for quite some time now, and now their cry has been heard, and most Iranians are pretty happy about what's happening in their homeland, and hopefully, democratic means will find its way into the Iranian government structure. And that's all I have to say for now. And I'm giving back the floor to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. You had made a comment about the world ending, and I just want folks to know the world ain't going nowhere. The world gonna be here forever. The only thing that's going to end are the people that's ruling it. The only thing that's going to end is this corruption and this wickedness. That's really what's going to end. But the world going to be here. It's the mind states that must change, and it's inevitable that that's going to take place. So you all don't fear, with respect to like the world ending and there being no more life on the planet. That's not going to happen. So, all right. So we got a few more people up on the stage that's left. Let's see. What the two's gone. You haven't spoken in a while. Maybe you have something else you want to add, or we'll go back to Jesus.
No, sir, I have nothing to add, but thank you for asking me.
Okay, cool. All right, Jesus or Zambino, it's up to you.
Yeah,
It's up to one of you.
yeah. I'll ask Romeo a quick question. So, Romeo, if you think the Iranian people are protesting, what is the U.S. government trying to achieve, or what is their plan? Secondly, what are the Iranian people actually asking for?
All right. Well, I mean, the most Iranians have been defiance of the brutality and the cruelty of the Ayatollah regime for suppressing basic human rights, torturing Iranians, unaliving, people gone missing, people are being incarcerated without any proper due litigation process. And now it is an opportune time for Iranians to have the liberation phase coming into their doorstep in the removal of the Ayatollah oligarchy.
So my question is, when the Ayatollah is removed, who is the next person that the United States thinks is fit to success the Ayatollah?
Well, referring to historical facts, the United States have been they are master in regime change all over the globe wherever they see fit, and you know that you know very well that the American
Ramel, who's the next person? Who's the next person? That's my question. Who's the next person in line to succeed if the Ayatollah is gone? Say the Ayatollah is gone, the next Ayatollah is gone. That's not in question. Who does America has in place to replace them? In place of the Ayatollahs and the
well,
Iranian guards.
all right, to respond honestly to your question, the Americans are master in putting one of its operative in this kind of dire situation. You know very well the person that will come to power.
You are speculating. Who is the operative?
Will become a.
Who is the operative?
Will become an American loyalist. Well,
who is that operative? You don't know.
I don't know.
Don't speculate. Don't speculate. You don't know. Just like me and any other person doesn't know. Don't speculate.
Tell me. I'm not speculating. I'm just making assumption from
you are
historical.
Making us. That's exactly that's.
Hold on, Zambino. Give them a chance to communicate, and like I said, let's not talk over each other. Try to have a comfortable discourse right here. But real quick, you guys, we got somebody new that just came on the stage. Trill, let's see what you got to say. All right, Trill's going once, going twice. You're on mute if you're talking.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
All right, go ahead. What you want to add to the conversation?
I didn't want to add nothing. I put in what I put in the comments. I feel like everybody need to go to war with the government. That's the problem. These government people. If we want to change for everybody else, it's the government that is really messing with everybody.
Okay. So the type of resistance that you would be speaking about as far as the government is us understanding how to navigate a pen so that we can write the policies we want, the laws we want, understanding how to decolonize and reclaim our autonomy as a people that we can govern and do something different. No integration, no assimilation, but total liberation. I'm thinking that's what you're talking about, Trills?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because at the end of the day, they are our servants. We are supposed to be the ones, telling them how we want our country to be ran. Yeah, and they just running it how they want to.
Okay. All right. Well, I can agree with you that we have to pick up the pen and learn how to navigate from an administrative standpoint. Because I love to tell people right now, we don't have, any chains, binding us from our hands to our ankles, but there is that mental, aspect of a chain. But we're dealing with a chain of words, you all. So, we have to understand how to navigate this administrative process and know that we're dealing with an administrative government. And I'm only speaking of this because of the way Trills, how he brought it out.
I feel like, I mean, we can't just sit back and watch. I mean, they just gonna do what they want to do. They just gonna fight each other, bomb each other back and forth. At the end of the day, we ain't got no say so in it. They gonna do what they want to do. They're not gonna tell us why.
Right. But still going into the point of what you were saying as far as how the responsibility is truly on the people to organize and know what it means to govern from a different perspective. And most folks are still under the impression that America is some form of a republic reform of government, you guys, and that changed a long time ago. Right now, what you're witnessing is an administrative government, thanks to Woodrow Wilson, all the way up to FDR and the New Deal. Most folks don't have an understanding as to what the New Deal really brought in, but that is the administrative government, as you hear folks say, not this republic, that republic, but they say this administration, that administration. And I would encourage everyone to use your AI or your Google to ask it to show you the difference between an administrative form of government versus the republic form of government, and it'll show you how my brother CP is in the house. Welcome, brother. It'll show you how the administrative government, it really mirrors the republic form of government, but it can do things a little different. And this is why we see 47 at this point going into conflict with the country, and he locked the Congress out. The Congress has no power, and folks are trying to understand, how he's doing, what he's,
Absolutely.
so these are some things that we need to revisit. I'll come to you, Zambino. These are some things we need to revisit and come to understand so we can be effective within our approach. But if you're trying to approach this from the old model, you all, being a republic form of government, this is why you're not understanding and you're missing, what's happening, right here. The administrative government is in effect, has been in effect for a long time. They hid it very well, but 47 is exposing it for what it is, and America and the world is in shock. Okay, Zambino, what you wanna say, man?
I'm telling you, I think you just explained it more than I can even express in my words. These administrative states, when they claim the administrative state was from the other government, they have taken the administrative state. This is the administrative state. They've taken over legislative, and they've taken over the powers of the judiciary. And they combine those two. And they do whatever they want. And both Congress and judiciary have ceded powers to them. What else can we say? What else can we do? They can claim as much as they want to claim about the administrative powers or the administrative state. They are the administrative state. They are the ones that have taken over the entirety of both Congress and the judiciary, and they've ignored the rulings of the judiciary at this point. And if no one understands that or can conceive that, I don't know where we're heading. I don't know where we're heading. Secondly, let's talk about let's talk about this in like really in concrete terms. In 1980, I think 1988 or 1985, the I Country or Bibi appeared on TV and said the other I Country, was 2 weeks away from having a nuclear boom. He appeared again in 1990 and said the same. He appeared again in 1995 and said the same. And we are still 2 weeks away from this country acquiring a boom. What the hell? How the hell did we get sucked into believing this is real this year? Can't you think this is someone who's beholden to the other country to do this for them? Because that's all they've been looking for. They've wanted this. Both Republicans and Democrats have refused. They've said, this is not real. We've done the investigation. They've done this. And they were not going to go for it. And this president said, yeah, I'm going to do it. Why this president?
Look at there's a lot of political theater transpiring. In this scenario, again, I encourage people to look at Operation Ajax. And Operation Ajax, it explains historically how, they infiltrated Persia, and Persia changed its name to Iran, and how the UK had control over the oil, and they kicked the UK out, and they took control over the oil, and then the CIA and MI6, they planned the coup, and they regained, control over the oil. So a lot of people really don't want to examine that part, even as it plays to the petrodollar at this point. But this is old business, resurfacing on a new day. So, folks can turn their head to it and, say it's not about that. But when did it stop? And again, this is where the disgust that Iran have for the U.S. is because of that interference with their sovereignty. And I just say, if anyone were to interfere with the U.S. sovereignty in that manner and or that way, no one would have anything good to say about it. So, when it's happening across the world, why is it that we do not hold the same sentiment? And I'm just going to say, I don't agree, with what's going on. And I could never side with my oppressor. I'm here in America, and I'm still, pushing and or, fighting for that liberation. We are a people over here, that's being ruled by another nation of people. Can't forget that. Can't act like it's not happening. And while you're over there thinking Iranians need to be freed, there are people right here in America that need to be free, although you all say we have freedom. Well, it's, very well controlled, very well restricted. We don't have the self-determination that we should have based on the UN standard and or international law. So it's a double standard, you all. And folks are cool, with it. And folks are cheering them along within their corruption. I'm just one man, I'm just one man. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. Iran may have its problems, with its leaders and its history, but don't act like America or the U.S. Let me get that straight. Don't act like the U.S. doesn't have its long-standing issues that folks have been negating or not willing to talk about as well. So go ahead, Zambino.
No. You're right. We are acting holier than thou, and I don't think it will reflect well, especially on this administration, because I think they do not have people that are experienced enough to understand the dynamics and the power plays in these countries. It's unfortunate that this is where we are right now, but 3-4 years down the road, everyone else is going to see what's going on and what's going to happen. But it's unfortunate. I don't have any other way to express it. It's when you have a government that do not understand the direction of where they want to go or what they want to do, and still talk about regime change, and they don't know who's going to be the next leader. And when asked, they say, oh, the next person was bumbled and he was pew-pewed. And so we don't know. And it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired, and we don't know. We don't know where we're heading, and we don't know why we are in this WAR, basically. So forget about the 1979. Forget about the animosity between the United States and Iran. Currently, they've talked about death through the United States for several years. When did they ever follow through with it? And we are talking about Iraq, them being participants in Iraq. And so are we saying we are trying to revenge Iraq, WAR, or are we doing something else? Like, it doesn't make, there's no direction. It doesn't make sense.
Well, again, this is what we're talking about, the political theater, and this is why I'm talking about the narrative trap, and this is why I'm saying we have to look at we have to go back when it was Persia, and when Persia changed its name to Iran, and when they went into Operation Ajax. I mean, there's a trail of things that we have to look at, and no. They may have never acted on the point that they had the disgust for the U.S., but they were letting it be known that they didn't trust them, and they were not going to act like everybody else just to get favors. They made it, they let folks know we don't like them. Okay. Now, they didn't come out every chance and say, well, here's the reason, why we don't like them, and start laying out the laundry list. But it's because they've been in their country trying to take over, one, their sovereignty, and two, their resources. So who wouldn't be, upset about that? I think it's crazy that the people here in the U.S. are not upset that the New Deal has allowed for corporations to have control over all the resources before the people. And you all act like, voting is going to change something from that measure. It's just, they're playing games with the people, and the people are just credulous, over here. It's insane, the type of indoctrination and, the mental traps or narrative traps that's happening. They think, a number of you listening, you think I'm crazy, because I'm pointing it out, from this standpoint. But no, folk need to wake up and really realize, what's happening, out here. We got somebody new, on the stage. Phyllis, I believe. Go ahead, Phyllis. Phyllis? Phyllis Wade, going once. Phyllis Wade, going twice. I don't think Phyllis know they up here on the stage. All right, let's go to the next guest we got up here, Akram.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hey, you brought a good point when you spoke about Ajax, because a lot of people ignore the whole history behind the whole Iran and how it came to be, all that race for the petrodollar. And there is something called the Thucydides trap. So pretty much the United States, since it's pretty much, especially after World War II, the race to the nukes and being the dominance. So this pretty much any dominant country that is, whether it's power or we're talking the petrodollar, is going to prevent a multipolarized world at any cost. And that's what's happening. So now you have the race between all the BRICS, countries, and everybody now, the Saudis now, they didn't want to renew the petrodollar, so they actually the agreement, and they want to pretty much trade with any currency they want. And now you have the what's called the Monroe Doctrine also for the United States, where they're trying to prevent any power that actually, especially in their backyard, we're talking about the Americas, both the Americas. And since South America is pretty much, when we talk to Brazil, about Brazil and the rest of South America is joining the BRICS, it's losing pretty much its dominance. And it's like fighting a tooth and nail to keep that dominance at any cost. And that's where we are. And it's just that Thucydides trap is pretty much, you have the dominant power trying to prevent an emerging powers from at any cost. And that pretty much, it's an inevitable war. And that's where we're at right now. We see now what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran understands exactly that hitting the United States is going to be hitting the economies around the world, the petrodollar. And they are getting help from Russia. I'm not sure China is going to probably stand there because they are preparing to take on Taiwan. So it's pretty much these wars are just about power. You're talking about the United States building all these bases around these countries, and they say, "Hey, you're the enemy. You're the one putting these bases around these countries. Now we're completely remote. If you're talking about the direct threat, there is no direct threat, but that dominance, that just greed and pretty much looking to keep that power is what's costing us, a lot. And I'm not sure where it's going to go, especially with this idiot in the head of the country and this stupid administration that we're dealing with. So hopefully in the 8 months of elections, I'm not sure what the escalation is going to go to, but it doesn't look good. So far, it's just bad in the Middle East. The Saudis are getting hit, the Kuwait as well. And if Iran hits I think the Saudi Arabia, they rely on the water distillation. They remove the salt from the water. So if they hit that, it's going to be a big problem just for water, not just energy. So it's just a mess. And this guy doesn't understand what's happening in the cultures. And Iranians are not dumb. It's not Iraq. It's not anybody else. It's just going to be different. I think he miscalculated this by a lot, not just by little.
So I had also asked one time before how this incident has changed the world, and amazingly to me, folks felt like it had not changed the world any, but now we have this new leadership. So that question is still on the table because the world is not going to go back to the sense and or state or place that it was as it pertains to, as some would say, peace in the Middle East. That's not going to happen. You know, it's going to be, you know, to the end, it's going to be a fight. This man that is now the leader, you know, his father, his mother, wife, I think a daughter. I mean, he's lost a number of family members, you know, at the hand of the political theater and games that, you know, the U.S. has played. So it's really going to be crucial with respect to how they maneuver and the way they interact. And when I say interact, I mean with respect to the conflict. But they're not going to stop. You know, they're and if I'm wrong, you know I'm wrong, but I'm adamantly saying they're not going to stop, and it's only going to escalate, and you're going to have to, you know, basically take the entire country out. And some folks right now are cheering, saying, yeah, well then, you know, hey, do it. You know, let's get it done. But that's still not going to resolve the wrong that the U.S. has done. And one other thing is, you're talking about voting. I really don't know what people expect voting to change and or to do. And I'll say it like this. Right now with the Republicans, they've kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, went to the extreme side. You know, they're overt with it. It's out there in the front, you know, on steroids type thing. You can see all the corruption, you know, all the lies. It's in your face, you know, type thing. So you want to go vote and you want to put the Democrats in so you can go back to hiding it, you know, and trying to cover it up and allowing it to be, you know, invert. It's just not any better because the system of government that we have in America, it doesn't work. And it especially doesn't work for the people. Now, you may want to settle and say, well, you know, it's better than this and it's better than that. Well, this is not what it's supposed to be. And people keep, you know, I just say they keep casting their vote to consent for the corruption. To me, it doesn't make sense. You know,
It doesn't, and the justice system for somehow is just watching everything, you know, playing out. You have a guy who goes to war without consulting with the Congress and the Senate or the people, nothing, and it just nothing is happening. It's very frustrating to see that happening in a country where we claim freedom and the country of the law, and we're accusing other countries of being dictatorships and things like that, and we're going that towards that as well. He just bought. I just was reading an article. He bought like $100 million worth of ammunition for Israel from Turkey to kind of bypass an approval from the Congress for that kind of budget. It's just crazy how they are playing around with our Constitution and the laws we have, that they completely, I don't know, they turn it into like a toilet paper. Nobody respects, you know, the Constitution anymore. For some reason, the laws are just being stepped on. It's very frustrating. And for some reason, this whole people behind him, I don't understand. They just gullible. I don't see how they cannot, you know, see all the lies, all the contradicting claims he's making and all that stuff. It just, and the world is seeing it. And actually the world is going to push for the multipolarization. Actually, some countries are going to actually try to actually get nukes, to include, you know, the Gulf countries, just because they see how messy it is, and the UN now is just pretty much a decoration. It's just nothing. It has no hold whatsoever.
And I'll tell you, the people behind him, they're not gullible. The people behind him, it's a money grab. Right now, they're filling up their corporations. They are making certain the money is being moved, through their various businesses. And I'm not just specifically talking about businesses that belong, to 47 and his family. They have a network, of corporations that, are like truly entrenched, involved. And right now, this is party time. They're getting paid, while everybody else is, in panic, suffering and dealing with hardship. They're taking advantage, of people's, they're taking advantage of, of our mindset, or how is it, psychologically, they're taking advantage of the people right now, and it's just about money.
Yeah, I really would like to see his son being drafted to the military and sending him to the front lines, because he's sending other people.
It ain't gonna happen. He skipped that shit. He's like, hey, no, hell no. Yeah, I know. It's not gonna happen. It's devastating. It's ever since I was a little child and watched American movies, and my goal was one day to get to the United States and probably become a United States citizen, and eventually did, and I made it here. And then all of a sudden things turned out this way, and
Yeah, the
you
American
get
dreams.
disappointed.
The
You
American
get
dreams
disappointed.
turns into a nightmare now. So
Yeah. Where like I run around with my passport in my pocket all the time to make sure I don't get picked up. Oh yeah, but it's like fundamentally what this leadership does not understand about other cultures, I think,
yeah,
is more concerning.
and you've seen
Yeah,
most of the
because
Republican administrations. They always done this. I mean, for some reason
you
they go
know.
into war, they bomb like a Middle East country, and then the Democrats they came in and they just continue on
They,
that. It's nothing has. It seems like we're not learning our lessons. And you had that. Actually, I was listening to the Chinese defense minister, and he's like, somehow it looks like it sounds like the United States is like a war addict or something.
it's a repeat, but here's the thing. We've been under this leadership, and they came back and said, "Hey, we messed up. We made a mistake. This wasn't supposed to be this. Whatever we did in here, say Iraq." George Bush himself said, "Hey, it was a mistake. We made a mistake." He came back, apologized. Someone else cleaned it up, of course. But they did not do what Trump is doing right now, where he has no plan at all. He has no vision at all. But all he wants is to be the imperialist. He's going into these African countries and telling them this is what he needs and this is what he wants to take away from African countries. And in return, you'll give them this much. And then he goes to another country, he does the same. And when they say, no, this is not acceptable to us, he says, hey, we are going to put restrictions. We cannot trade with you. We cannot, we are going to restrict visas for your citizens. And we are going to do this, all that stuff. And it's like, hey, bring it on.
And it's been like that with most of the colonialist countries. We're talking about Great Britain,
Yeah,
France, what they did
but
in
we are going
Africa.
back. But
They will
Britain,
never
yeah,
wanna release, these countries. Even after they got that independence, they want to keep sucking the resources.
yeah.
And if they can, they start, mingling with their government just to put puppet governments so they can actually keep sucking those. And when you look at Africa,
And
it's the oldest continent, the most richest continent, and it's the poorest one. There is a reason for that.
yes,
And
and Akram, yes, that happened. That happened for several years when Britain and France and Spain and Portugal had colonies. They did that, exactly that. And then they restricted trade, and then they restricted travel. And exactly. But no, this is what the United States is doing right now.
yeah,
This
and
is
then
current.
going to
But
back to the
they
Ajax,
are
because
exactly, they're going back to the imperialistic. They're thinking they can do imperialism all over again around the world. Why?
yeah, and going back to the Ajax thing, with the Britain trying to kind of dominate the oil of Iran, it was and the whole thing, and CIA mingling with the governments of the region, kind of to keep a hold on that. And going back also to the prompt here, actually, the Iran announcement of the new leadership, it's also like a message to the United States and to Trump and saying, "Hey, bring it. We're not
Bring it on.
afraid. We're not here to be your puppet government," and that's just a message. And actually, I could see him, talking in the news, and his face, he's scared. He's really realized that he made a mistake, but he's so narcissistic that he's not willing to go back and trying to revisit his calculation and maybe say, "Hey, oh, damn, this was a mistake. Let's actually try to mitigate this and pull out or do something about it."
I'm going to say we put so much emphasis on the U.S. government. You talked about the imperialism. We've kind of hinted to international law, which right now they're kind of trampling, on law in general as if it applies to everybody but them. But I'm just curious as to how many people have actually heard about a UN resolution 1514. If that's anything people have heard about. And that resolution 1514, it speaks about a concept that has been going on, around the world, and now it's here, even in America, called decolonization. And it's a real thing to where for those of us that are done with being manipulated, it gives us an opportunity to take that path and use the foundation that is set within international law to bring ourselves, lawfully from, up under this corrupt leadership and lead in a manner and a way that we think should be done. So, this is why I say to folks, we really have to consider, as we're conditioned to say vote, and vote for the Democrat or vote for the Republic. Well, there's an option out, that there's another option, which means people are sick and tired of it. If the government failed to protect, then the people have a right to protect themselves, type of thing. And we have the support of the international stage, and family is just, they're like, well, are you going to step on the platform? Are you going to, respond to the criteria? And this quiet is kept. Like, you're not going to hear about this on the CNN, you all, but things are moving with respect to decolonization. If you're not familiar with it, you really should do some research, into it. And hey, I say to folks, let's work together and moving this thing forward, because that's definitely an aim and or goal that myself and others are like really working with. Not being a radical, you all, and not trying to be a revolutionary and saying down with the government. It's like, no, they can do what they're going to do, and they're doing it. But if we have an option to not be, drug along with them while they do that, yeah, I want to take that option and look at what it means to be functional to where, hey, let's compete, with this aspect of government and on a world stage outside of allowing them to continue to, oppress us. So, again.
Host, I'm gonna say this. I'm probably my phone is dying, so this is probably going to be my last one. When you swing a pendulum from one end to another, whether from the left to the right or to the right to the left, it's gonna swing back. Okay? And when you invite extremes from one end, you are inviting extremes from the other end. This is gonna be a payback. It does not miss. It goes the same way. So they'll do whatever they want to do. They don't listen. They do what is in their interest. They touch their pockets. But when the pendulum swings the other way, it's going to be a payback to them. And so let's just wait and see how that plays out.
I can't wait and see. I got to do something. I can't sit back and, just be on the couch. This is work that has to be done. And, folks have to be active, and folks need to understand, like we say, before any type of movement, people have to be enlightened to understand.
And you are doing it right now. So I don't think that's you are doing it right now, and you're doing it well.
Yeah, so that's just that thing, you all, that some folks understand, their position, their place, and I'm saying I can't not do anything, especially when you see it, you can't unsee it. When you know it, you can't act like you don't know it. And I'm not interested in the paper with the pictures of the slave masters on it. It's like we've been wronged for too long. And if there's an avenue that we can use to benefit a true interest for the people and have an agenda for the people, we have to take that, we have to consider that option. And for too long, we've allowed this thing called the US government to manage not only the interest of the government, but they've managed the interest of the people too. And I'm like, y'all know there's got to be a conflict, within interest. Somebody's interest is going to suffer. So we've abandoned, our interest. And it's just, we have to pick it back up, and we have to look at what our expressed will is. We have to have it on paper, because we are in the age of the administration. They got all their stuff written down. So, we're needing to complete what things we need to be written, filed, and, submitted, so that on the world stage, and again, not being radical, look at 1514 from the UN and come to understand we're just going through the process. We're lining up with, the criteria. So, there will be no more excuse. And thank you, Zimbabwe. I'm sorry, I called you Zimbabwe. Zambino. Zambino, for, your time, on the stage, man.
And the one thing I cannot understand is, like, how do we have something as big as a loophole in our government where you have a felon that was supposed to be sentenced to actually be put on an election to become the president and becomes a president? It's just like mind blowing, where a felon cannot get even a security clearance or public trust clearance to get just a regular job, gets the highest job in the government. It just mind blowing.
It's ridiculous. And that's just kind of some of the things I'm I'm talking about where these double standards and triple standards, I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense, but yet we keep thinking something's gonna get better. And it's not getting better. It just continues to get worse. So folks think if we get him out and we get the Democrats in, ain't nothing gonna change because the same corporations behind the scene, the same lobbyists, they're still running things, the Heritage, Foundation and all the other think tanks. I mean, they're still behind the scene calling the shots, so ain't nothing gonna change. My brother Chef just came up on
Hello.
the.
Hi, sir.
What you want to
Good
say,
to
man?
see you again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk
So yeah. Yeah. You was talking about the resolution, UN Resolution 1514, right?
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify whether are you talking about the using it to kind of free America from the corrupt Trump administration? Are you talking about that?
Well, not so much America, because we'd have to define what you're talking about. But you have I'll use air quotes, like you have indigenous people, you have, and I'll use this term loosely, black folks and other minorities that have been colonized in America. And, that resolution is in position and or place to come from under being colonized and to then reclaim autonomy and self-determination to function on the world stage, to compete with other countries and
Yeah.
other states.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a bit familiar with it because Singapore is an example of one of the results of resolution 1514, right? So apparently that resolution kind of benefited a lot of countries in the 1960s to 80s to gain their own independence free from colonizers, right? So 1514 can only apply to lands being colonized, right? That means you have a foreign colonizer. So unfortunately, because America has already gained independence in a sense whereby the peoples, including your black folks, your indigenous, Native Americans and whatnot, all those people you listed are part of this so-called under this flag. So unfortunately, you can't. And interestingly enough, because I was also trying to research on how the Americans can actually free themselves from, say, a corrupt regime like Trump, right? So it seems that your founding fathers actually kind of expected this pretty well, and left no loopholes actually. So the only other direct way is impeachment, but I don't think the founding fathers actually thought about actually ever imagined a day whereby America will be in this state where the three levels of your government branches are kind of like infiltrated, right? So yeah, this is a very interesting case to discuss.
Yeah, it is. It is, because I understand your perspective, but there is a way out. And although they gained their independence, there's still a treaty that's in position and or place. And you've heard various different presidents acknowledge that it's the longest standing, treaty that existed. And that's what they're functioning from. Okay. So in conjunction with that treaty, there's a way out for those that have been colonized, in this land, and for the colonizers to, actually have to deal with a different set, of consequences. So it's different. It's a novel approach, but can't do nothing, man. Can't, not look at the strategy.
Host, sorry to
That
interrupt
means
you.
that means these
I'm
people.
sorry. I'm
Sorry.
listening. I'm listening. Sorry. I just want to let the host know I'm listening, but I got a call coming in. I just need to speak up for a while. All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep. So that means that the people that are colonized, they need a representation in the UN. to be able to raise the case with the UN to get that kind of independence if we're talking about.
We bring. I mean, at this point, we're pulling all of the substantive facts, the substantive laws, the the available treaties, and making it a part of the criteria, so that it's a undeniable statement just based on one, records of antiquity and dealing with substantive law. So it wouldn't be frivolous or as if we're just crying because we want to be crying. It's like, no, these are forgotten facts. These are things that have been either hidden or left off or just manipulated for the most part. And people have been persuaded to accept this as their governance, and for that consent, the UN can't do anything. I mean, the UN tried to charge the US for human rights violations, I guess about 7 to 10 years ago, and I thought it was great. But under the Reservation Understanding and Declaration, here Congress fired back and they said rights are not self-executable, basically saying, listen, you can say all these human right violations are going on, but if people aren't exercising their rights, how can there be a violation? And I just thought that was pretty clever, how they reposition that thing. So there's a lot that we're not aware of and we've been deprived of, but then still you have certain individuals that have taken the time to deal with evidence-based academic research, to approach it from the standpoint of a novel approach, and that's just the way we have to go at it. No, our fate isn't sealed, and we're not stuck, in this, and our ancestors didn't do this, to us. They've always been separate, and they've made no bones, about it. They've just tricked people into thinking we could be a part of it. But the documentation still creates a way for, another state and or party to exist. They've just tried to cover it up.
And I think there is a reason why the United States government is not part of the Geneva Convention. So any crimes that is being brought against the United States is not going to hold because we're not part of the Geneva Convention. We don't recognize it, and we're part of the NATO, and you have the veto as well. So anything that you can try in the international court and everything is just not going to go through.
Well, and again, this is not about them. This is about a people recognizing who they are and coming within proper position and or form. They can't stop a people from,
right.
Wanting to be liberated or wanting, their self-determined. They can't stop that. I mean, right now it's as if the people are through legitimacy, as if the people are in agreement and or consenting, saying what the U.S. is doing through policy and or procedure is proper, appropriate, and just through the concept of legitimacy and consent, through the vote. So I'm just saying to folks, we're still a people, a nation of people in this country being ruled by another nation of people. Some have forgotten, that to be the case and or scenario, but a number of us, we understand and we know. So, it's to move toward the mean of being or reclaiming the autonomy. And you got to remember, they can't grant rights and they can't take them away. All they can offer are privileges based on their structure and their system. But, for us to stand on our rights, that's not something we have to ask them about because they didn't grant it. We just have to understand the proper position and or or place in what the criteria is to make it official. And because everything now today is about what's filed and the express will, that's why we say the pen is definitely mightier than the sword. So it's just a new day, and stronger information is being produced, and a agenda and the interest of the people. And I get this, not everybody is wanting to like partake and be a part of that, and that's their choice, okay? But for those that understand what liberation is and how to go through that process, then that's what needs to be done. Yeah,
Host, can I ask you?
let's talk about Iran again. Let's go back to talking about Iran, because that stuff is just a little
Can I
bit.
can I just bump in one question before you go back to Iran?
Sure.
So if I mean hypothetically, if you were to list a few names, people who are capable or qualified leaders that would lead this opposing force of your current system right now, can you name a couple, or do you have anybody in mind?
Let me say this out of sheer respect for the process, Chef. There are certain things that you don't use a platform like this to like openly discuss. So understanding the value to that, all I can express and or say, there is an option, and it is being pursued, and for those that have the capacity to understand it, then it moves forward. And there are those that when they look at it, they don't want to touch it, with a 20-foot pole. They like the crumbs that they get, and whatever happened, that's where they want to stay. That's what they want to do. And all we're saying is they have a right to choose that position. But again, for those that understand otherwise, there's nothing, they have no law that say you can't exercise a right. And that's been the problem. We have not, folks are saying they know their rights, but folks really hadn't looked at what it means to exercise their right. Folks are saying they know their rights, but folks are not living the benefit of these rights. It's just a dormant conversation, but that's changing. Rights are very powerful, and they should be used, and they should be used to protect you against the venues of the government. And you all, that's not being radical. That's just repeating what the justices have expressed, even in a case called Heibel. They tell you that you should exercise your right, against the government. So we're just being strategic, and doing it by the book, and looking to all of the criteria and making certain that we're not trying to deal with no coups, or it's not about overthrowing, anyone, because they have a right to do what they do. I mean, they got their contracts, but we also have a right, to self-determination. So that's about all I will, discuss, Chef. I think we'll get back to Iran. That's way more exciting, and looking at the world events and the new leader. What you think, Chef?
Well, with this new guy, I think, I mean, after his father passed, is you see a new transition, right? Is I mean, the father, Ali, is himself, he was more religious based, right? So I think I'm not so sure about how the Americans see it, but from the outside world, we can actually see certain restraint in terms of how they dish out the punishment back to the other Gulf states, and or rather the American allies, right? So there's certain restraint in that sense. So I believe that he's still appealing to his religious beliefs, right? But now when you move on to the son, he is actually, I mean, he has not. Some scholars actually believe that he's actually not reached that level of so-called religious maturity to actually attain that role. They respect him, but it's just a matter of whether you have that qualification in terms of as a religious leader, as a cleric, right? And this guy, he is actually well known in the background as a power broker. So that means that he has actually dealt with a lot of internal strife. He is mitigated what do you call that, plans and treaties and cooperations between their own between their own militias and whatnot, amongst their own people within their own country, right? So
So Chef, he
yeah,
was running his father's office. He was running his father's
yeah,
office, and that's one of the reasons why they took him. But go ahead.
yeah, exactly, right. So my point being is that there is a very high likely that the punishments that's coming from Iran will be way harsher. But I'm not so sure about his strategic moves. But because I know that he's actually very well versed militarily, because he has a lot of connections with very good connections with the RGC commanders in the different parts, and then all the different commanders have actually respected him because of his role as a power broker. So this guy, yeah, I'm not so sure, because this guy is a blank card, right? Nobody knows about anything about him, and what's worse is that with the American side, Trump has actually just said, right, America's going to extinguish any new Ayatollah that comes up, right? Which kind of also blatantly admits that he doesn't need to care about the enemy. He doesn't need to learn about the enemy. It's just going to be the same strategy moving forward, right? Which is a little bit silly, right? So I think they're going to hit more on the war of attrition, more on asymmetrical warfare, right? So yeah, you can already see this with the bigger and more smarter weapons that's coming up from that's being fired right now from Iran's arsenal, right? So I think this is kind of pointing towards that shift already. So yeah, America's in a very dangerous position right now.
You're absolutely correct. And like you said, this gentleman right here, they don't know, much about him, but he's definitely dealing more with the Muslim world and creating stronger ties. They definitely see what it is. And I think it's unfortunate that 47, said, I got him before, he got me, and, making threats to, out him as well. Bruh, it's just not going to be good, and folks just don't think that the US can be touched, or that, things can't happen, on these lands. And I just think that that's a horrible mistake, to be, that cocky or overconfident, so yeah, I think it's a mistake. And for them to have this new leader, that's good for them, that they have their leader. But for the US, it validates why they have such disdain, for the US. It's not a phantom. It's not something, that they've just made up. And some people have even thought that Iran is all about, Muslims, and as long as it's Islam. And I'm like, yo, that's not true. From that standpoint, they have a legitimate beef. Let me say it that way. They have a legitimate beef with the US, and
Exactly.
47 exemplifies it. And if you just do a little research, and I just put it out there, Operation Ajax, you start from there and work your way down, you might understand. And if you're honest, then you would know why, they have that sentiment towards America.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here again, I think we're going to, let this go. We came on around 12:15, and I guess we've been on for about 2 hours and 30 minutes maybe. And we're gonna call it a night. And we'll probably come back on with this subject a little later, give other people a chance to find out, like, what does this really mean, and how has the world changed behind these decisions? And I really don't understand folks, man, that think things are going to go back to some kind of normal. We're definitely, in the position of, new norms. I got one person that just came on. I'm gonna let them get something off of their chest. Modu, can you hear me? I don't think Modu know you on the stage. All right, we're taking Modu off the stage. All right.
I think we're gonna see the oil prices going up all the way to 150 next week, and it's gonna get worse from there. We're gonna feel it at the pumps. But I want to thank you for this platform. It was really good hearing some insights and very articulate, very insightful. I appreciate the guest, and thank you again. And have a good one, gentlemen.
And I'm going to say to what you're saying about those gas prices, I'm like, that's not accident. They really needed something to happen with, that petrodollar, and this, was convenient because now they're getting their money for so many, I guess not many, but for about a year, maybe it had been, kind of dormant. But yeah, right now, yeah, they're getting their money, and they're going to make sure they do it. And if any of us understand, I mean, this is a cycle. We've seen this before. They've done this thing, and they
Who's
kind
they?
of the same playbook, over and over and over. It's just different generations, are seeing it. So for some, it seems new. Go ahead.
Who's they? You're talking about the U.S. government?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I need to qualify that. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So once again, appreciate you, Chef. I really do value, your insight. And Zambino. No, that's Akram.
Yep.
Okay. Akram, yeah. Akram.
Thank you, host. Thank you, host. I've always loved your channel. It's very, how would I say, you are like a wise old man. Very sageful, very, very good, So yeah, I really enjoyed how you panel you control the panel. So it's great. I love this panel, and yeah, I'll be back when you are back online already.
Okay. I appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are.